Grace and peace as we continue talking about nefarious characters in Scripture. So, you get a two for today. The first one is because I am absolutely in favor of increasing our biblical knowledge and awareness and hoping that we can insult people and raise their biblical IQ as well. So, in my home of origin, if we did something really, really insanely idiotic, we were called a Nimrod. So, if you were ever called a Nimrod and you wondered why, I suggest that you read the book of Genesis. So, in particular, Genesis 10, going into 11. So, Nimrod was that individual who was ruling instruction in Babel, so you would know the Tower of Babel, right? Trying to be equal to God. So how absurd is that? Now, there's other stuff that Nimrod did, of course, making him a nefarious character. But if someone is just really, what's the matter with you, kid? You Nimrod. So there you go. That's your little trivia for today. And moving on to another character. How about someone you do know? And that'd be Herod the Great. So I would pick him as kind of a nefarious character, wouldn't you? So we have him, of course, in the Gospel of Matthew. And we refer to the slaughter of the innocents. Now, we don't have historical evidence for that. Josephus, who's a Jewish historian, does not record this. And so there's great debate over whether or not the slaughter of the innocents actually happened. Whether or not it happened, Herod killed several of his children, his sons. So I'm not really so sure that they were massively guilty. I think I'd call them innocents in some ways. So let's just start with that being a pretty yucky thing, right? And he married a wife while he always had this other wife over here, and he did it to secure a position on the throne. And when he did that, then he took the other wife and kid that he was going to slaughter, and, just put him away over here. I think that's a pretty nefarious thing to do, don't you? And when he conquered Jerusalem, he took the king and didn't want to get his own hands messy, so sent him to Mark Antony to be executed. And then we have, of course, the recording of the fact that when he learned of the birth of Jesus of Nazareth, he wanted to get away with killing him too. So, not really a wonderful guy. If you're looking for something redemptive, we do have record of when there was this huge famine. Herod did feed his people and keep them going during the famine. That, of course, would be so that they could do all the work that he wanted to accomplish to make sure that things were going well in his kingdom, and Rome didn't get rid of him. But, not that he had any vested interest in that. All this by way of saying, even in the midst of really gosh awful yucky people, I'm going to give you just a couple little pieces from Romans 8, which remind us that the Spirit is going to help us in our weakness, and that in all things God works for good for those who love him and who have been called according to his purpose. So, we can have really disgustingly awful, yucky leaders or people we know. And if we're keeping our hearts and minds and spirits in a love relationship with God, somehow, over time, God is working for good. Even in the midst of Herod's rule, look at what came from it. Keep yourself in that relationship with God. Amen.